South Africa's economy grew by 3%. Stats SA recently held a press conference to release the second quarter gross domestic product report in Pretoria. The main contributors to the increase in economic activity were manufacturing industry with 1.7%, finance, real estate and business services with 0.8%, as well as wholesale, retail and motor trade, catering and accommodation industry contributing 0.4%.
We have two numbers, a year-on-year, which will tell us what actually happened in the economy, and a seasonally adjusted and annualized, which normally over-exaggerate the growth. When you look at the year-on-year number, we say in the economy it's still growing at 2%. And when you annualize it and remove all the fluctuations, you're saying it's 3%. But looking at breaking down that number, we're having the manufacturing, which in the first quarter, when the economy grew by 0.9, it decreased in fact by 7.9. But currently it increased by 11.5. Looking at the industries inside the manufacturing, we had fire during the first quarter in the basic metals. It contributes a lot in around 22% in manufacturing. So if in that industry you have a slight negative, obviously it gives you a direction of where that industry is going, and the manufacturing on its own, it contributes 15% to the total economy. So when they reverted back to normalize the production during the second quarter, then the same basic metals increased, because now that fire was stabilized, the production continued in the basic metals, the production increased in the transport equipment, the motor vehicle exports, they're increasing, and you look at also the glass and non-metallic products, which also increased. We still need to look at that number. In the first quarter, it was still also a sluggish number, but then looking at the 6-on-6, which is also a year-on-year number, it also growing at 2%. We're not sure of what will happen in the last quarter, in the last 6 months of the year, but the first 6 months it's telling us it's we're sluggish, but we're still positive. It's a bit slowed down from other years. The growth is picking up, but also looking at do we have demand of what we produce? If there's no enough demand, we might still produce a lot of things, but also looking at the unemployment. If an industry is not really making huge profits, obviously they will have to reduce the production. Look at the mining. The cost influences a lot. The cost, they are rent-based. It might be that the rent has lost its strength, but then selling the product or exporting the products outside South Africa, it's dollar-based. Yes, they can make money, but then the cost, it's rent-based. So it's too costly for them to either continue with production and start exporting or producing more.
The negative contributors by industry were mining and quarrying industry at minus 0.3% and agricultural, forestry and fishing industry at minus 0.1%.